Welcome to the show that's unscripted, unfiltered, and uncontrollable.
Yes, let's go. Welcome in. Welcome back to Destroying Kayfabe, your number one source in wrestling news and information. I am your host, CM Styles, and along with me, as always, is my wingman, Mr. Chaos himself. How are you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Looking forward to getting back at it after last week.
Hell yeah, man. This is episode 2 of the new year. Tonight we're going to talk some Royal Rumble. We're going to talk about the history of it as well. We're going to talk about some other subjects as well. Mainly referring to Shane McMahon's fire departure type situation.
It looks like Uncle Daddy Vince is getting a little mad.
Yeah, something's going on, and we're going to find a way to dig into this. Also, we got some other things we're going to talk about tonight. A little bit of Dynamite. Didn't get to watch a whole lot of stuff this week, mainly because I had basically the COVID scare. For those who remember, I got the flu shot last month. I've been feeling really, really ill here and there. For those who watch my gaming streams, I have been not feeling the greatest. As soon as I feel like I'm recovering, it just comes back. So I got tested the other day. Everything came back negative. I had to do another lab test, and another location did the advanced lab work on it, and everything still came back negative. So I am completely clear from any type of COVID whatsoever. I warned them it was just from a flu shot. I wanted to see if they could remedy this. So there's that. So we're back full swing. I'm actually feeling pretty good today, man. Hacking up all kinds of crazy shit. But yeah, we got a couple things to cover tonight. But yeah, so I'm gonna give the mic to Chaos because he watched the Rumble more than I did. All I did was watch the men's Rumble. I saw the highlights on YouTube of mostly every match that has happened. I was not impressed. I will be honest. I was not impressed by this Rumble. It could have been a whole lot better, honestly. It could have been much better.
I'm going to chime in. Honestly, it was probably not. It was, for WWE standards, even at the moment, it's barely even average. So you probably didn't miss much.
Yeah, I mean, for the fact that we saw Brock Lesnar lose the title to Bobby Lashley thanks to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. So Heyman basically turned heel on his adversary, his advocate, I should say. He will be an adversary now. He conquered the beast incarnate.
And to add to that, to quote Chris Jericho, bad ideas from bad creative, or in my case, my thought is lazy creative.
Absolutely. Nothing but laziness, man. Let me tell you, when it comes to booking 101, you got to learn how to book these things right. Everything feels rushed.
If somebody told, I put it this way, if someone told you that happened, someone that didn't watch it, would you have been surprised?
No, not really. Because, we just fall back on booking 101. And,
exactly. It's
anything,
lazy. It's lazy.
And there was a term that Jim Ross used to say in the 90s and early 2000s. Anything can happen in world wrestling entertainment. Sadly, that happened right there. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Could they have really fucking done a whole lot better of a job? Oh, absolutely. But they completely swerved this. They could have built this into WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania, without having to do what they did following the end of the night.
And I'll get into it as far as my review, but you're talking about guys that it's the first time in 15 years that they're actually wrestling each other. I mean, can you actually believe that? You would have thought within 15 years that Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar would have at some point met that
Yeah.
you're talking about. Finally, they meet, and it's fucking underwhelming.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because back in the day, Brock and Bobby, weren't they on the roster at the same time in SmackDown back in like? No,
I believe
actually,
so.
I think I could be wrong. Because we know it was what, WrestleMania 20 that Brock left. He
Right,
left to go into the
Goldberg-
NFL, and then he
Goldberg
took
thing.
on, yeah, because it was Brock
UFC.
versus Goldberg, and Austin was the ref. No, that wouldn't have been it. Bobby came in right after, so they would have never been able to actually feud, because Lashley came in a few years after, I believe. He started debuting in 2005, 2006. That's when he started becoming hot.
Going back, you're absolutely right. But I mean, Lesnar's been in since his return after UFC since what, 2014, and Bobby's been in since.
Bobby's been WWE and also Impact Wrestling. You can't forget about Impact.
Right. So how long has Bobby been in his latest run in WWE?
His latest run, at least
5 years.
3 to 5, somewhere around there.
Right. So they could have done it 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, right around the time Cena and no, that was even before all that. But I mean, Brock has been back for the longest time, and now they're trying to make it all the dream match that you could ever possibly imagine, and they fucked it all up by putting Roman Reigns into the mix. I mean, we get the storyline between Roman and Brock, but I don't think they booked it completely, right.
I don't think they booked it right at all, because I still think, and this is to their credit, I think the Rollins-Reigns storyline, excuse me, has actually been relatively strong. I think that Rollins has carried his own in it, at least for playing mind games. And again,
and he's kind of got a Joker-like gimmick.
Exactly.
I mean, we've seen that kind of gimmick in TNA Impact when Sting pretended to be the one-sided Joker. Now we got another version of it, and it's Seth Rollins. Right. And I did see some of the match between him and Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman Reigns he paid it forward with the chair shot to the back, which was pretty awesome. The fact that they did a throwback.
And that kind of leads me into my Rumble review.
All right. So let's go ahead and hear yours. Let's hear your side.
That match opened things up. Wasn't all that bad, to be honest with you. Rollins came out. The whole Shield outfit, the Shield music, kind of got the crowd into it. Match itself was relatively solid. So I think you get most of the time, at least on WWE standards, you get a decent match from Seth Rollins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been following Rollins since his NXT time. I didn't get to watch him much in ROH or anywhere in the Indies. During this time, I was diehard WWE, so getting to know this guy was a fresh new start for, the Indies guys, for guys like me. Yes, Tyler Black.
You go. Tyler Black.
I knew his name when I started learning about him.
Right. My major criticism of the match itself is, all right, you're talking one of the 4 major events every year that WWE runs, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and you end it with a disqualification. Whether it falls in line with the story or not, that's always going to warrant criticism. No matter how good the match is, no matter how good the storytelling is, there's always going to be criticism when you open up a Royal Rumble in a Universal title match that ends in a disqualification.
Yeah, and of course, the fans. I mean, today's fans are no different from the fans of the past, and they're not going to like that kind of result right there. To be honest, neither would I. If you pay good money to see a match, you're not paying to see a disqualification, and especially with a world champion in the ring.
No doubt.
But of course, that was to protect him for future coming events, which we'll talk about later on in the end of the Royal Rumble review here. But let's go ahead and get into this next match.
Right. So, I think the Rollins-Reigns match, I would probably give it a B+, despite the disqualification. I think that's fair enough for the standard that it was.
All right.
The Women's Royal Rumble was up next. There was a lot of good surprises. The Bellas, who I'm not a big fan of, Lita, Michelle McCool, Mickie James, who everybody knew was coming with the TNA Knockouts title.
I hear they brought the Funkasaurus theme back.
Yeah, that's right.
And the fans didn't know who it was. The fans were kind of clueless to the Funkasaurus theme. I saw the reaction
I forgot about
to it.
that. That was funny as hell. Molly Holly, who has always been completely underrated. Molly Holly has always been one of my favorites. Then my personal favorite in this match, who was a surprise, was not only was it Ivory, but she was in the Right to Censor outfit. Do you remember when Ivory was in the Right to Censor with Stevie Richards?
Oh yeah, Right to
Censor.
Censors. Yeah, it was like a small little faction where they were trying to censor everything. It seems that kind of goes great with today's society.
yeah, so I think that was fitting, and she came back in that. She looked pretty good. It was fun. That said, the match itself was terribly clumsy. I guess you mostly could chalk it up to a lot of these women haven't really worked together with each other.
Yeah, so the chemistry is a little offset, and not only that, I heard it was a lot of random eliminations that weren't even detected or noticed or even recognized, and that right there alone just gives a bad vibe to the Women's Rumble. It's almost like Vince really doesn't care about this kind of thing anymore. I mean, I mean, wrong. I don't have a problem with a Women's Rumble or any Rumble or anything in general. Just the fact that when you rush the event so quickly without any acknowledgement to who's getting tossed over the ropes. I mean, the biggest break in history of that match was Mickie James coming out not only at Hardcore Country, but with the Impact Women's World Title.
Yeah, and it's a positive that they were open to doing something like that. Mickie can still work without a doubt.
I mean, she's only like, what, 42?
Yeah, she's
so it's
not
like,
that old.
She's no older than I am. I mean, she can still go. I mean, I know I can't, but that's
I know
a different
you can
story.
still go. You can still go, boss.
maybe on podcasting, that's as far as I'm going to go. Don't ask me to run a mile. I'll be wheezing halfway through. But,
so, I mean, obviously, Ronda Rousey made her return.
Yes, she did. And the crowd kind of popped for that, to be honest.
Yeah. I think Ronda's always been over. The first go around, I was really into what Ronda did. I think she picked up on everything really quickly. That said, I think in the match itself, she looked a little rusty, but she won obviously, and she's got a little time to work that rust off. I was a little disappointed that the final four was, I think it was Rousey, Flair, Belair, and Baszler. Again, that's really predictable. Coupled with the clumsiness of the match itself.
I mean, let's see.
Really
last
wasn't
time
that good.
The last time Charlotte won a Rumble was 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. She won the Rumble. She was a heavy face at the time, but as soon as she won, the crowd started turning on her. I think it had the fact to do that Becky Lynch entered herself into the Rumble as well, but Charlotte's the one that picked up the win. So it's just it's kind of like, how can you go with the book and you got someone who's super over but she's a heel, and then you got someone who's a face and she gets the heel treatment? It's just like, but you know what, the fact that Charlotte did not win the Rumble this year is quite,
that's a positive.
Yeah, that's a huge positive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take her work away from her or her work rate whatsoever. She's a wonderful talent. It's just the fact that, she's got that backstage rep where she's really hard to work with. And that kind of represents the Flair mentality, because a lot of people said the same about Rick. I mean, I respect Rick. I met Rick once, and I actually had my picture taken with him, and I will cherish that picture forever.
That's right.
I'll have to share my photos on here one night.
You're up in that Capitals jersey, weren't you?
No, actually, the Capitals jersey was with me and Jimmy Hart, and
that's right.
That's the one we were talking about. That was on Wikipedia, but I was cropped out. But hey, I'm still credited, so you can still find that. Bobby Lashley has turned face. Really? See, if you're talking about Raw, I don't really watch too much Monday Night Raw programming, let alone SmackDown. I'm not too big into the WWE product, but since it was a pay-per-view, everyone wanted me to watch it. I fear now. At the Royal Rumble. See, like I said, I didn't watch all the matches at the Rumble. All I watched was the men's.
To ask a question to DJ Metal here, did he really turn face though? I mean, I think that Lesnar in a way turned face because Heyman walked out with Reigns, and obviously what happened later on.
If anything, Bobby would be more of a tweener until
Right,
they can start working
Mm-hmm.
towards the whole, he's tired of carrying, the whole hurt business on his back. I mean, he already fired Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin yet again, but
Yeah.
this time without the ass beating. This time they delivered it to him on Monday Night Raw, which I did see the highlights of, weeks prior,
Right.
and he destroyed them. And then Brock came out and did the rest of the work for him.
Honestly, I think they were just looking for a way to take that belt off Lesnar to have him ultimately win the Royal Rumble, not to spoil, which everybody knows. Then ultimately go against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and then Lashley versus whomever for that title.
I mean, honestly, I know we have the rematch clause for Lashley and Lesnar. We should I almost call it a Lashner. What the hell?
Yeah, which they'll probably do.
That'd be a hell of a
when
tag team right there. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. They're just lashing everybody. The fuck is that?
Whatever they call February's pay-per-view these days, they'll probably have that.
Forget Fastlane. We're going to the Lashner.
Yeah. Fastlane.
But yeah. So, of course, Brock, he's still your champ, or he's not your champ. Bobby Lashley's your champ.
Right.
The fact that now reading the chat, and I'm already lost in thought. But Ronda Rousey is your women's Royal Rumble champion. And let's see, we have Roman Reigns.
And then the next match after that, we actually had the Dewdrop versus Becky.
Oh God!
The match itself,
they need to.
I don't actually know what a Dewdrop is.
I don't know either. I think they did that as a pun because of Eva Marie being on the roster and bringing her back, and they were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna rename her Dewdrop." Like that does her no favors at all. That's like how does a Dewdrop? That sounds like something I wouldn't do when I'm about to drop a deuce. I'm Dewdropping here. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's one of those new WWE names. Like I saw some guy come out in red suspenders in the Rumble, and his name was I don't know, Mud Pie Moss Man or some shit.
Oh God.
Not sure what that was.
I don't know either. Like I tend not to steer in the direction of the WWE. And
anyway, you got to listen to this. The highlight of the Dewdrop Becky match wasn't the match itself. It was the WrestleMania moment before the WrestleMania moment. The WrestleMania sign actually was on fire.
I heard about
in
that.
The crowd during this match. So obviously the fans, big attention span WWE fans. No offense to anybody, I'm a WWE fan.
Yeah.
They obviously turned their attention to the sign on fire naturally. So this match was kind of filler, even though it wasn't half bad. I think this Dewdrop, she plays a monster heel.
Mm-hmm.
Better than most. I think a lot better than Nia Jax ever would. And on par with whatever Nyla Rose does in AEW. Not much different, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So the match itself wasn't really that bad from when I watched it straight through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take nothing away from Dewdrop's character. It's just the fact that I don't like the name. If anyone doesn't remember Dewdrop, her actual name is Piper Niven.
Yep.
She's a British wrestler, and she's very good at what she does. When she was in that Women's Classic on NXT back in like a year or two ago, before the whole pandemic thing kicked in, she was a beast of a wrestler. And as soon as she got put on the main roster, like, they find a way to destroy their characters. Like, oh, you got this name right here, we don't like that anymore, we're gonna give you this name and you're gonna like it. All that for a fucking paycheck. I'm sorry, you would not see me. I don't care how good the money is, and it can't be that great right now with the condition that WWE is in, and we'll talk about that later as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, why mess with a good thing if they're already established in NXT or NXT UK?
Here's why
they came from.
Here's why they do this, because
I know exactly why they do it.
Not just money, but for the fact that they know they don't want to own the person's intellectual right, IP, as we call it, intellectual property.
Or for to look at it from a different view, if the person gets so over under the character name that they give them, then they own the character rights and name and everything to it.
And they know the name's not working out. All the people are doing are backlashing the name now, and it's been that way since day one. You know,
That's a shame. She's not bad at all in the ring. She's actually very solid.
She's the perfect female heel now. You know, she's a safer worker than Nia Jax.
No, without a doubt. It's not even close.
I mean, this girl, she can do the Yokozuna splash like 10 times over and still not injure you once.
And not kill anybody.
Yeah, like, she won't concuss you if it happens as accidental the first time until it becomes a pattern. But, I mean,
she's also not related to The Rock or anybody, any Samoans. You know? No offense to Samoans, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, I love The Rock. I grew up to The Rock in Austin. The Rock. You know, we did it for The Rock.
And I think Nia might have had a little bit of a run because she's The Rock's cousin. It's just a thought.
I mean, I did see the dirt sheets back in the day, and The Rock once told her, if you need to break from it, don't come back to it. And apparently she did. But look how that worked out for her. You know?
Yep.
I'm not going to take everything away from her character as well, because she knew how to cut a promo sometimes. She somewhat used to be a decent worker, but she became careless and reckless. And
can't have that.
During the whole pandemic thing, I saw more injuries from her given to everyone else than anybody in, you know, the wrestling business alone. And I was like, no, this isn't safe anymore.
It's just clear she wasn't ready for it.
No,
she's obviously taken somebody else's spot who was ready for it, and I think that's the
fact that she used to work good matches in NXT with the freaking Asuka. She worked great matches with her, but that was all she could really work with. And the thing is, Asuka was strong style.
I think Mae Young at 75 could probably work a good match with Asuka.
She could sell a table spot if she was still.
Asuka works a great match with anybody.
If she was still alive, I can guarantee you she'd take a table spot better than. She gives a great hand birth, I guess, too. But you know, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, that's under the worst fucking angles of all time day.
Oh God! Well, you know what? We're gonna make an episode out of that down the road. Worst angles and stories ever.
We'll get the Katie Vick story on there too.
Oh God, no! Please no. We're doing it because we can, y'all. But
that's right. We can do anything we want.
The best and worst of Raw and SmackDown from the 90s all the way up to 2000. Yeah, there's way too much content. And we don't even need WWE Network for it anymore.
No, we don't need Peacock either.
Oh no, it's a dick. So what else do we have on the card?
We'll get on to the next was Lesnar Lashley. We kind of touched base on it. First time in 15 years. And the match started with the usual big men feeling each other out type of thing. Suplex spots, power spots. You get into your F5, then there's a ref bump. Brock does his usual pace, his running in place bullshit. New ref comes down, waiting for a new ref rather. New ref doesn't come down. Roman comes down, spears him. Heyman hands him the belt, clocks him in the head, and that's kind of the end of it. I really don't think this match had a lot of redeeming qualities. I think people might disagree with me. Again, we kind of touched base on it earlier. It was lazy booking.
Yeah.
The Heyman thing was, everybody knew it was coming eventually. Maybe not then. Probably then.
It was what, SmackDown when Roman and Brock had that promo. I saw the highlight on YouTube as well because, like I say, I don't always watch the live shit anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
I'd rather see bits and pieces and put the story together from there. And apparently, Brock was distracted by Paul Heyman, which gave Roman the upper hand to give him a Superman punch. Paul Heyman looking in complete surprise, like, what did I just do? That might have been just a seed right there. The Superman punch straight to him. Yep. And after that, the rest was history. But
pretty much. It was, why not give Big E some sort of role in at least that match or going forward in that, at least in that scene? But because he was over, he was the champion at some point. But you know, they just play it safe with that kind of shit, and that's why it's lazy.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, I hate lazy booking, and that's all the WWE seems to be here and there. And I've been seeing some other things that have been happening in WWE. I think it happened on this past Raw, or this past Raw here on Monday night, between Austin Theory and Kevin Owens. It was the steel step spot, and it looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was like, that's more than just a sell. That was legit fucking painful. Hopefully Owens isn't concussed by that one, or any sort of brain damage whatsoever. I mean, the dude's been through a whole lot in his independent career, going into NXT and, you know, the main roster. But it's just, I don't get me wrong, I like high spots, but when you start getting older, not just you as a fan, but you as a wrestler, to take that spot continuously or anywhere down the road, that can be dangerous to your career at all, you know?
Oh, sure. Look at Jeff Hardy.
Dude, that guy, I mean, he took a sick bump at a live event, and the fact that he walked it off, he had to leave ringside so he can recover, and he got fired because they assumed he was on alcohol.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that they make them work so many house shows still is juvenile. It's just.
I mean, I get it. We're coming back into, you know,
how many people actually? Excuse me to butt in. How many people actually go to those house shows these days?
I don't know, but speaking of, I just found out the other day, via text, that SmackDown Live is coming to my area February 25th, a Friday night, a live televised event. And I was thinking, do I want to get the tickets, or do I just want to pass, you know, on this one? As much as I'd like to go, I would like to support, you know, the roster, but at the same time, it's a Friday night. I'm not going to be, you know, I'd rather watch it from here and then talk about it later that night. But I don't know. I'm still deciding. I got to see how many tickets are left and what rows are good. At the same time, I don't want to be near a lot of people that are going to be like hacking up the way I did this last few weeks. I don't
think at WWE. I mean, not that I'm like so crazy about COVID and whatnot.
Yeah,
I understand it's a risk, but I don't think a WWE house show is really worth seeing, or
sadly on a live show, because this is going to have much more fans unless they tarp off.
I'm sorry, you're right. It's a SmackDown.
I mean, if you want me to go there, put me in a VIP suite all by myself so I can watch from, you know, the rafters or whatever. I want to watch from up above, but I'm not gonna fucking sit next to a bunch of people that could possibly be sick. I will rule that one out, but I was going to be in Pittsburgh March 28th. Too bad I'm like 3 hours away from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is a hike for me.
I'm literally in the middle. I'm literally in the middle between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So it's just like, and the best part is they're both right off Route 76.
That is true.
But I will not go to Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I love Pittsburgh to death, but Pittsburgh is just as dangerous as Philadelphia, man.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, then to get back on the Rumble, the next match was Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Marcy, which was
Maurice,
Maurice, whatever the fuck her name is. You know what it was? It was typical filler before the men's Rumble.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see throughout Rumble Royal history is that they'll have a title match before that, or
and they kind of wasted it
Rumble.
prior.
Yeah, so instead they just had this bullshit, which was absolutely awful. For some reason, they made Beth out to be like submissive to the Miz's wife.
Well, you got to think about Beth Phoenix. If you remember her Glamazon gimmick back in the day, she was a beast of a wrestler.
She was a beast. She was a great wrestler.
Like, I miss her being a full-time competitor, but at the same time, you know what? She retired from the ring. If it wasn't for the fact that her husband, Edge, didn't come back, they wouldn't have put the storyline together. The fact that he wanted to make that one-time return, and he was just so over at his Rumble return 2 years ago, That right there was just, let's get him in here, part time.
Yeah, it was kind of like
only.
We know the Miz has a wife, we know Edge has a wife. Let's get them in the ring together, and we'll have a match.
Yeah, and hopefully that's just the end of their feud, though.
Yeah, hopefully, because it's, again, lazy booking, typical.
Yeah, they've been writing it out since what, Survivor Series?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, Edge brings his Brood gimmick with him, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the nostalgic of it, but
yeah, I love the Brood, but
today's generation doesn't remember the Brood, or doesn't even know what the Brood is, and it just it doesn't help the promotion at all. Like, guys like us will know and mark out, and then after that, it's just like everything else is history.
Nobody under 25 knows who Gangrel is.
No, I mean, we know who Gangrel is, and I just saw a YouTube video on him the other day, and he was just like completely shitting on AEW, and I'm like, okay, whatever you want to say, man.
Yeah. Must have got a rehab. He must have got a rehab stint from somebody.
Cactus Jack, I don't know. Not WWE's Cactus Jack, trust me.
No.
These guys wouldn't know. But yeah, dude, like I get it. Everyone likes to voice their opinion just like we do. But the thing is, we're not going to shit on everything. This guy just like completely dogged everything in general. And I'm like, no thanks, man.
It's kind of like Disco Inferno. If you've seen any of his takes lately, it's like, holy shit, why is this guy speaking?
I'll be honest, I try not to focus on that guy. He was a WCW jobber. He just got lucky to keep his career in check, especially being a part of the dirt. What was that? The Filthy Animals that the dying days of WCW around the time Rey Mysterio was unmasked. God. Yeah, how can we ruin the company without ruining the company? Hey, let's make G.I. Bro. Sorry, Booker.
G.I. Bro. Oh my God.
We knew he wasn't a big fan of that, and neither were we. But hey, we supported you because you were getting a paycheck.
Yep.
Hey, you thank him Nash for that one because that's all he talked about during that CM Punk run. We make sure he got guaranteed money. Not really.
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Fans made sure you got money. You just wanted to talk about it.
Exactly.
But so yeah.
You watched. I watched the men's rumble too. You did too.
Yeah, I made sure I watched the men's rumble. As a matter of fact, I was streaming the night of the rumble, and so I was doing some heavy gaming that night. I was making up for last week
some speed running, or what were you up to?
No, actually, well, I did some Mario speedruns. I did some Tetris as well.
No,
I didn't play Barbie, guys. That didn't happen. And it won't.
No Barbie.
No Barbie. Fuck Barbie. That's free metal. But yeah, I did watch a men's rumble, and I gotta say it was an utter disappointment. The fact that the forbidden door did not apply to the men's rumble. I'm sorry, there was no forbidden door whatsoever. The only big names that came out were right at the end. Brock Lesnar being number 30, which made perfect sense after realizing that he did not have a championship. So I was like, oh boy, he's number 30, and Randy Orton drew what, number 28. So the fans are over with that because it was in St. Louis. So
right, yep.
So of course he's going to get the fan favorite pop. And then Shane at 27. And then of course you have Riddle,
the supposed architect of the Royal Rumble, by the way.
Oh God, man.
It's a different subject, different topic.
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice start out in the beginning. It was Bobby Roode and
it started off awesome with
Bobby Roode and AJ kicked it off.
It was AJ and Nakamura.
Oh, Nakamura, yeah, that's right. AJ and Nakamura kicked it off. Bobby Roode was in there. Dolph was in there. I was shocked. You had Kofi Kingston with that huge botch spot where he thought he was going to hold on to the guardrail, but you know what? Right. From where he was at to do that, it's going to come to the point of where Kofi, he's up there in age now. He's not going to be able to do these spots like he used to.
Right, and I think that I swore that he did that in a Rumble before too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So
Now
I felt,
it's
I felt
going to
a
start
little bad for
exposing
him
him.
if it was planned or not planned.
Yeah, it was a complete botch, as they were saying, because but what makes it obvious is that there was 2 different camera angles, which kind of screws us all up.
Yeah.
They could have played
that's
it
the
off.
ultimate Kevin Dunn, the camera angle guy.
Yeah, Kevin,
Mr. Camera Angles.
Yeah, I can't stand that guy. I'm sorry.
Me neither. Yeah.
Nick Khan needs to do something about him as well. Release him. You know, he's not doing his company any favors.
Yeah.
And then, hey, thanks, Shu. Welcome in.
All right. Appreciate that.
Yeah. If I can do this. There we go. All right. So yeah. I'm trying to think, who else did we have in there? We had some NXT guys in there, and then Rick Boogs. Rick Boogs of all people. Coming out there looking like a super jacked version of Freddie Mercury. Like it's funny because the dude used to have long hair at one time and he had the perfect beard, and all of a sudden he's coming out there super jacked and looking like Freddie Mercury, and of course he got eliminated pretty quickly after a while.
Yep.
Big E was out there. Big E was supposed to be a part of the this spot with Kofi, but because Kofi's jump or fail, I should say, was completely botched. It's just there was not a whole lot you could do with Big E, so his elimination was pretty much unmemorable, and it was a shame to see how that was all played out. But there was so much talent in the ring. I was looking at some dirt sheets earlier. One name that was mentioned, and I think his push is long gone, and I can't wait till his contract expires, and that's Cesaro.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I respect him. Claudio Castagnoli, for those who remember him in what was it, CZW, wasn't it, or was it ROH?
He was on ROH. Yep.
ROH, because he and ROH and CZW had that feud back in the day, and when he was Claudio, that was just perfect. But there was a lot of missing talent, and of course, Shane McMahon.
Wait, you're trying to tell me that Johnny Knoxville and Bad Bunny aren't talented?
Johnny Knoxville would have been the greatest spot monkey. He didn't even sell any of the moves. He just took it like a champ. He kind of brought back the whole, what was it, Steve-O and Chris Pontius when they were in the ring with Umaga. And
yeah, geez, Umaga, I forgot all about.
God, rest in peace, man.
Rest
I miss that guy.
Rest in peace.
Umaga, he destroyed both of them, and then Steve-O got up and he started laughing at freaking Chris Pontius, and then Umaga was legit pissed because of that, so he came back in and stiffed him some. He's like, that wasn't in the script, but it was so funny. He's like, air. But yeah. Reasons not to watch WWE is because of some of the stupidity that does come out of it. Growing up, when we were teenagers, we thought, it was the coolest shit ever. And now all of a sudden, it's like, we get older and it's like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Why did I watch it in the 90s and mid-2000s? But, Bad Bunny was in there as well. He faced up with Brock, and, of course, he was getting ready to do something. Brock just launched him.
And not to interrupt, my whole issue is that I know that Bad Bunny and everybody talks, oh, he's not that bad. He's not that bad at wrestling. But he fucking came in and he cleared the ring like 3 times. Yeah. And that's just stupid. That is absolutely stupid.
He got rid of Sheamus.
Right, that's stupid.
Like, I was like, what the hell? Sheamus would have been a great, uptake on this. The other, who was his protege? Ridge or something like that. He was wearing like a face mask or whatever, so I'm assuming he's suffering from either a concussion or some facial injury.
Right.
But mainly concussion, because if you remember the Chris Nowinski incident back in 2003.
Yeah. Chris Nowinski was the guy that brought CTE to life.
Broken. So. Yeah. Yep. And you know what? I'm glad he did. I actually got to meet Chris Nowinski. He autographed my copy of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. I still have the box, just not the game.
Extremely intelligent guy.
Yeah, he is, dude. Where was he from? Nebraska? I think he was in Nebraska.
I am not sure. I know.
I think it was the University of Nebraska.
He basically uncovered CTE and all its elements, and
Yeah, I mean, when he suffered,
the NFL had to take notice. Obviously, WWE and wrestling, the NHL, everybody had to take notice. So
yeah, like I followed him after that. I followed him on social media when social media was small at the time, and he would talk about this stuff. And as a matter of fact, once in a while he used to tweet about it too. And you know, I haven't seen anything from him lately. I don't even know if he's even active anymore, but yeah, Chris Nowinski, like people they underestimated him. You know, he was the perfect heel too. Like he was that cocky, arrogant heel. That
you're going way back. I can't even actually. I would probably say 2006, 2007, maybe at the latest for him.
Well, 2006, 2007, he was actually doing backstage stuff with WWE. He was helping out with the producing.
That was even after he actually was in the ring then.
Yeah, because I think about 2005 would have been the end of his career.
Right. Yeah, sounds about right.
Around 2005 would have been the end of his career, because 2006, 2007, I got to meet him back to back at 2 Monday Night Raws over at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
You know, he used to keep an eye on that stuff. Thanks to him, chair shots have been literally banned, which is a good thing, at least to the head. I mean, if you're going to do it right. But most of these guys, I mean, if you saw... Let's see, what was it? Jeff Hardy used to take chair shots to the head all the time. They did that one chair shot to Brock when they were the Hardy Boys and he was about to attack Lita. They totally destroyed Brock's
up
skull.
Until that point was taking chair shots to the head, and everybody, to get off subject, in the NFL was leading with their head as far as tackling was concerned.
Yeah,
it was just
helmet contact.
Right.
And of course, you know, I mean, there's padding in the helmet, but depending on what helmet you wear because of your defense or your position, some helmets are limited to that cushioning. I should know. I played football in high school, and helmets are no fucking joke.
We're gonna have to dedicate an episode or a segment to Chris Nowinski.
Dude, I definitely would have to.
He's like an unsung hero.
Yeah, I actually look up to guys like him. You know, for someone who played that cocky heel, gives a shit about the talent and, you know, the possibilities of CTE, concussions and all that, you know, because it can lead to major damage down the road. I mean, if you think about it, guys like Chris Benoit, major CTE. I mean, we can't even throw away the fact that he seriously abused steroids because of the brain activity, let alone every time he did a dive and headbutt. I guarantee you know, he did that one dive and headbutt.
They said he had the brain activity of like an 80-year-old man. He was only like 36.
Yeah, and of course most of that shit they said was like mush, and it's sad to see that, man, and I hate seeing that happen to top tier talent. I mean, it drove the guy to his sanity point, and of course we saw it happen. And what was that, 2007? You know, the murder-suicide of him and his wife and child. And it just, you know,
here I am. I was going to give everybody an ECW review on this double tables with the great. It was a great Chris Benoit pay-per-view.
On this day.
On this day, it happened February 4th, 1995. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the CTE, the Nowinski thing, it was groundbreaking because it changed professional wrestling. You know, no more were these guys going to be treated in this manner, basically like crash test dummies in a way.
Yeah, you know, speaking of crash test dummies, my little man Seth, he's a crash test dummy. He wrecked his bike yesterday. Apparently his handlebars got loose on him, and his whole left arm is jacked up. It's like wrapped up. I talked to him yesterday. I talked to him a little bit earlier today. He's got high spirits, man. Like his mom sent me some pictures, and he actually had a smile on his face. He's like, he is a stunt double, man. He's a crash test dummy, you know.
That's funny. I thought we were getting into the band Crash Test Dummies.
Oh, God, dude. You know what? I'm gonna find that song just so I can have him listen to it. I mean, I changed his Discord name to Crash Turtle earlier because his nickname is Turtle. I mean, I might have to metal, so. But you know what else happened on this day in 1991? Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler beat the fabulous ones, Kevin Kern and Stan Lane in Memphis, Tennessee, to win the USWA Tag Team Championships, which was a rematch from the previous week where the teams had a draw. So that is some important history for us. Yes, that is going to be scripted right there. Every week, you're going to see what happened on that day from whatever year we can, from whatever year we get. Now,
as far as USWA, it was always they ran ECW on the public access channel, but then after that they ran USWA.
Man,
So,
I miss the
do
territorial
sure-
days, man. That was right near the end of territory days too.
Right. Speaking of scripted segments, I was thinking about another one where we could have like territory time, where
Territories.
we'd go back in time in the territories before Mr. VKM took them over.
When Vince Sr. was running the WWF, and I think there was World Class Championship Wrestling, and all that shit went from one missing W to one missing C. And then we got to see one war after another, except there wasn't no war back in those days. There was no televised broadcast either. Everything was done by CCTV. If you remember, what was it? What was it? WrestleMania? I think it was one of the WrestleManias, because Stephanie and Triple H came out and they were talking about the history of WrestleMania. I think it was like WrestleMania 31 when they were out in San Francisco.
Okay.
And Stephanie talked about how the history went, and everything was done by CCTV. Closed caption TV, or closed circuit TV, not closed caption, closed circuit TV. So everything was recorded, through weird camera angles. And of course, one of the very first WrestleManias, I believe it was in Trump Towers, or Taj Mahal, or whatever, over in Atlantic City.
I think WrestleMania 4 was in Trump Towers, or the Taj Mahal.
It was one of Trump's, because. Yeah. I think it was WrestleMania 2, because they had two different locations. They had two shows on the same day, and they were going back and forth with CCTV. They didn't exactly have the cameras that they're using today. They didn't have the technology, so they used whatever cameras were positioned in that in that venue. The venues were small too, and at the time, the WWF, it had a following, but it wasn't big enough to gather a shitload of fans. So you didn't get to see what you see today. There was not many crowd pops. There wasn't no oohs and ahs everywhere. A lot of people didn't have knowledge of wrestling. It was more like kind of like what TNA was like when they were trying to get fans into their arenas. Right. So it was kind of a situation like that. But I have the WrestleMania anthology, and I'd like to start watching that more.
I'm definitely down with that.
I would definitely like that. Well, I can't actually play that on Twitch. I know there's someone on here who does stream independent material. They kind of got flagged for, the modern day wrestling, but they got independent stuff, which is kind of, fair use material.
We'll do it old school. You play it at the same time as I do. And
I got a VLC media player, and I can just play it on Discord.
Right, there you go.
So we don't even have to, double click just to watch it together. We can watch it at the same time. There are some people who stream WWE stuff. Some people actually had to uncategorize it from what I saw. But, you got to be careful what you do.
They're playing full pay-per-views, and all I wanted to do was play a clip of fucking ECW, and I couldn't get it.
I know. Dude, if you think that was bad, you should saw me when I was uploading WWE material. I threw an updated intro that my buddy made for me on YouTube to go with my podcast, and it got me a copyright strike because of the intro. I was like, you know what? That's one of the other reasons why I left the YouTube network. There was just too much red tape over there. But let's see what else we have here. Oh, since we talked about Shane McMahon earlier, he inserted himself into the Royal Rumble. That was one less talent we got to see. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got a big pop, but no one knew that Shane put himself in there. Also, what we did not know, Molly Holly did the same. She and Shane both produced the men and women's Rumbles. And
I did not. I had no idea that Molly Holly produced.
yeah,
Women's
I was
Rumble.
informed
Wow.
about that earlier this
Okay.
week, and yeah, Molly Holly produced the Rumble, but she threw herself in there. But the thing is, the difference between her and Shane is that as soon as she's done with this, she's gone. The fact that Shane did
Right.
it and he's already fired.
Yeah, Shane's a game. But Shane is also somebody that watches and is a part of the product
Yeah.
on a weekly basis.
And Molly
isn't.
Holly is
Yeah.
not, so it wouldn't
Right.
matter with her. And the person who told me about that, of course, we already knew who the person is because that's all we ever talk about is that one person, and he needs to just like take his Zoloft or whatever is his Abilify. But you know that's all I'm going to say about him. But yeah, Shane McMahon, the rumor is no longer a rumor, it is 100% official. And as Metal said, he has been released. It was immediate. More than likely, we're pretty sure that it was a whole Nick Khan to Vince McMahon situation, that your son can't do this to the business, it's hurting the business, as if the business isn't hurting enough.
I don't think that Tony Khan would be smart in taking on Shane McMahon.
No.
I think that would be
Now, speaking of this whole thing, now a lot of people are still thinking this may possibly be at work or not. If
Right,
it's not
pretty
at work,
much.
I would not be surprised if Shane and don't forget, we also got Hunter, who has been released from NXT, and don't forget, Nick Khan and Vince released a ton of Triple H's workers. Don't be surprised.
I'm actually waiting for the point where Nick Khan becomes an on-screen character, just because they know that his name is out there.
Yeah, his name is beyond heavy at the moment, and
Yeah.
the dude was at ringside observing the pay-per-view, which means don't be surprised if we start seeing some cuts before WrestleMania. And then after Mania, it's just,
they can make.
I don't think they can make that many more, honestly.
Right, Jesus.
And the thing that sucks is, now, a lot of these guys are going to have 90 days, no compete clause. And, of course, they're going to try to start developing all these new stars in NXT, and most of these guys aren't even that good. I mean, they got rid of Swerve, and that was one of the guys I actually interviewed back on the YouTube days, right here on the show.
They got rid of Timothy Thatcher. I always thought he was
Thatcher. He was a
wrestler.
beast, dude. He had an
He was
MMA
good,
background.
Man. He's very good.
He and Riddle had that cage fight before Riddle ended up on the main roster. Remember that?
Yep.
And they did that shit inside the Pandemic Dome down there in Orlando. And I thought that was a solid match. I actually liked it. I never saw a ring with no ropes and a cage with an actual scaffold right up top where they could fight. Like, I mean, we saw something similar to that back in the Attitude Era. What was it? Shamrock versus Severn or whatever? No, Shamrock versus Owen Hart. Or,
Hey, talking about scaffold matches? Oof.
No. Well, scaffold matches. Oh God, what? You know what? That's another episode right there. Let me tell you,
That's
don't
a
ever.
segment and a half. Yeah.
Oh man, rest in peace, Vic Grimes on that match.
Hey, I was saying you could even go back to the Road Warriors back Skywalkers in NWA. I think it was like 83 or 84.
What was that one? The Dungeon of Doom match in WCW.
Oh,
it wasn't this.
that
It
was
was
absolutely
cages
awful.
and scaffolds everywhere inside the ring. It was just a shit fest.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's a. Could we call that terrorizing? Sorry, Triple H. But yeah, so Shane's been fired. More than likely, if he's smart. Hopefully, Steph
what
picks
would
up
you
on
put
this.
that at as far as a work? Would you put it at 60-40, 50-50, 70-30?
Like 20-80 maybe.
So you think it's not a work?
I don't think it is a work at all, man. I think if he gets, if they secretly rehire him because of all the heat that's coming into this from the fan base, then you can consider it a work. But
Vince
that's
doesn't give one
you know how
shit
Vince is.
about
I mean,
the
he
fan
fired his
base.
son before. He got rid of his son that one
Yeah.
time before he came back, and the fans went him back by popular demand. I mean, dude installs himself.
I always respected Shane's ideas. I think he was very high on ECW. He wanted to buy Pride.
I mean, he's a good businessman. I mean, yeah, most of his business he does is out of country, and most of it has a lot to do with China. And you know,
Yeah.
here's how you guys see it in a business perspective. China is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and wherever these guys go, the money goes with them. And I think, honestly, if you want to put it in retrospect, I think he'd be a whole lot richer than Vince if he really wants to push the whole agenda on this. And he, Stephanie, and maybe Hunter could run a company away from the WWE that could compete with the WWE. I mean, I know we got AEW already. We got
we got
Impact.
If they sold. I think we talked last week about Disney, right?
Yeah. Okay. So WWE did strike that deal with Disney. Now the thing is, it's only targeting the Indonesian market. I don't know what all it's gonna do for the company, but for now, it's a small start for a new relationship for Disney. I don't know how you can put WWE content on Disney because
I
most
think
of
it was just a distribution deal, to be honest with you.
So since then I kind of like, smoke and mirrored it, and now it's just to the point of where, all right, so what do we do about outside companies? AEW, Impact. Don't forget, we got a new company on the rise, GCW. If anyone saw GCW, what was that last week as well? I mean, GCW is getting some fucking rep, man. Now we got the majors. If we remember him in WWE, Ryder and Hawkins, but it's Cardona and what's his face? Crap, I can't remember his partner's name.
I don't know. Whoa.
No, not Ryder. Hawkins' original name. I can't remember his name now. But crap. But they jobbed him out hard in WWE. They tagged them up together as well, and they actually were tag team champions for a bit. But it is basically Ryder and Hawkins. They're a tag team. They're going up against X-Pac and Joey Janela. They got Curtis Axel. Dude, I would like to see Curtis Axel. Well, Joe McGillicuddy. Or Michael McGillicuddy, yeah. Real name Joe Hennig, the son of Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. He was such a waste of talent. They finally eliminated him in the Royal Rumble like 2 years later after claiming he was never eliminated. And he wasn't because, Eric Rowan came out and just dismantled him and he got taken to the back. So for almost 2 years he was never eliminated. But, oh yeah. Oh, crap. I want to say like Brian something. Can't remember his actual name. It's not even at the tip of my tongue anymore. But let's see what else we have here. I skipped most of Dynamite. Actually, I skipped all of Dynamite. I saw like highlights on AEW's YouTube page, and I saw we finally got the match between MJF and CM Punk. There was a lot of cheating from MJF. As a matter of fact, he got caught cheating quite a few times with the chain and the ring. But after I think it was like a 20-minute match, and CM Punk finally got his very first loss in the city of Chicago against MJF, thanks to Wardlow giving MJF the ring and the devastating punch. I guess we could call that the Ring of Honor. So, yeah, of course, Wardlow, he looked disgraced at MJF, which means they're going to start, it's a slow burn to Wardlow becoming a face soon, because he's tired of helping MJF win. So we're going to see Wardlow turn face hopefully within the month, or at least within this month, because we're in the beginning of fucking February already, man. 1 month already passing by. We're on a fucking roll with this new year. Also, Bryan Danielson, let me tell you, ever since he debuted, was that the pay-per-view? Yeah, that was the pay-per-view, man. I think, I wanted to say Revolution, but it wasn't Revolution. I forget which pay-per-view it was. Or was it a Dynamite episode?
It was Revolution, was it?
Was it Revolution? I can't remember. When he and Adam Cole both debuted at the same night. It was a shitload of debuts. Memory's really short tonight on all the shit that's been happening in the last several months. But yeah, Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, all out. Oh, it was All Out. That's right.
Yep.
Daniel Bryan. Fuck, man, look at that. I'm already in Daniel Bryan mode. Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, has been on complete fucking fire ever since the minute he stepped foot in AEW territory. I mean, that Iron Man match with freaking, what was it, Kenny Omega, where the match ended in a draw, made both guys look strong, but also made Omega look kind of weak because he didn't hang long enough with Bryan Danielson. But he was still champion. A lot of people love that match. I know I did. I could watch that match over and over. Of course, he kind of has some of his troll gimmick because he and Paul White are, I think they're going to slow burn a feud into those two, but it's not going to last very long because basically Paul is just trying to retire from the business. He just wants to be...
You think there's going to be a feud between Bryan Danielson and Paul White?
I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, did you see that one? Well, it was a seed planted for me, honestly. There was that one episode on Dynamite where he was out there and he was taunting, Paul. I keep wanting to call him Big Show because that's all he remembered, man.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah, big slow,
big slow. The son of Andre.
Yeah.
God, I'll never forget the rolling casket. I actually found that gift the other day, and I shared it with a buddy because we were talking about I forget what we were talking about, like some civic coffin joke or whatever. It was bad, but yeah, it was just the fact that these two got a nice little history around the time Danielson won the World Heavyweight Championship in the WWE. It was between Big Show and Mark Henry, and he was in the middle of it all, and let's just say it was fucking hilarious the way he was doing the whole gimmick. He was slowly turning heel. He was doing the coward heel thing, and he's kind of doing that again in AEW with Paul. It's just
yeah.
So there's that, and then of course we also have the return of Moxley from the last few weeks, and every week he's actually increasing on size, which means this dude's hitting the gym hard again. He's putting on more muscle. Dude's going to be jacked by the end of this month.
Definitely looks good.
Yeah, and of course he said it was he had a match against Yuta. He was supposed to have a match against Kendrick, but because of some 2011 YouTube video that he was pulled from the match, all because of some conspiracy shit. And I was like, I understand what was going on. He has regret for what he said, but at the same time, Kendrick is Kendrick, man. Dude has always been a weird guy. Kendrick, honestly, he's a very underrated wrestler. I remember his WWE days when he was teamed with Paul London, and they were seen as like the new set of high flyers. They were going to help elevate the cruiserweight division, and that didn't work out so well because, Paul London ended up getting a bad rep because of the whole Vince McMahon storyline. Remember the limo blowing up, and he was smiling during that time? God. But yeah, we didn't get Moxley versus Kendrick, so we ended up getting, it was Moxley versus Yuta, and you said that was a pretty good match.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad match. I think then Daniel Bryan came, or Bryan Danielson rather. He proposed that they train the younger talent.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? These two, they have a history in the WWE when it was Daniel Bryan versus The Shield, so these two are going to carry some of their legacy over into AEW, and of course it's not going to work out very well for Danielson because we all know Danielson's going to play that that aggressive passive heel type where if you don't work with him, you'll get the passiveness when when he walks away, but when it comes to turning your back on him, don't be surprised if he stabs you. That's basically the kind of character Daniel Bryan can be, or even Bryan Danielson. I mean, it is one of the same, so it really doesn't matter at this point. Like, you can see we're full WWE mode with these names. I mean...
Definitely.
But,
well, I gotta... I don't know how you want to wrap it up for the night, but I definitely had it was...
Dude, I gotta say, it's been one hell of a night. All right, so to wrap this up, Royal Rumble, huge disappointment this year, y'all. They could do much better, but at this point in time, WWE is really on a steep decline. AEW is kind of on a rise, but there's some minor issues there as well. And we'll talk about that down the road. Things that they still need to do to improve. Mainly, just keep the WWE out of their mouths. Other than that, they're a great product, fun to watch, a lot of high flying. Next week, this week we'll come up with some nice little concepts that we can actually start getting into some more. So during this week, Chaos, if whatever ideas you want to pitch, we'll start getting into that. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of more retrograde thing, talk about things of the past, like the Royal Rumble where, it was a 30-man Royal Rumble Battle Royale. One year it was 40 men, and that was a complete disaster. You just came into the end of the show, Tech. We're getting ready to wrap it up here. We did our hour for this week. We're gonna wrap it up. I'll tweet it out this week. As a matter of fact, stay tuned this weekend. I'm going to do some retro gaming Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to make up for this week thanks to the COVID scare. But other than that, I'm going to give Royal Rumble maybe a 3 out of 10. That's
pretty much what I have. I have like a C minus.
Yeah, I ain't got much for the Rumble this year, so we'll start. Oh, absolutely, everything's a replay in this place. But we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. Thanks, Shu, for that raid earlier. Hopefully everyone has a good night. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night for some retro gaming, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Friday night for another episode of Destroying Kayfabe. With that being said, everyone have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.